I've been ready from the jump. Tell me anything but never tell me that I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm on. You can bet I've been above. You can never see me like I'm John. Seen it on the song. Yeah, we kicking in the whip, boy, then vroom vroom. Invisible of Bitcoin, but all around we taking over the world. I'm making home with the girl, head to tail like a flip coin. You can take it how you want. I've been up having fun. Yeah, baby, this ain't a disjoint. I ain't famous, I'm a boss. I've been up stacking sauce. Do you share the hit, boy?
What's up, everybody? It's the Kent Farm Podcast. My name is Clue. We are based in Australia. We've got Ash and John on with me today. How are we doing, boys?
Yeah, awesome. How are you, Clue? Ash,
Yeah,
boys?
not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah,
not bad at all.
Been a pretty eventful couple of days.
Oh, that it has. That it absolutely has. Now, we have some exciting news. John, we've discussed it earlier in the week. We've been doing lives for a couple of weeks now, and we've decided this is going to be the first one that we are going to put into podcast form officially. So congratulations to us. This is going to be the first podcast. How are we feeling about that?
Nice. Yeah, pretty exciting. A couple of guys can listen on the way to work as opposed to having to tune in live all the time. I know everyone can be quite busy.
That's right. I mean, they do get to miss out on our faces, unfortunately. I'm sure they're all devastated, but having that ability is fantastic as well.
Yeah, definitely. Kieran's in the chat. How good?
Hey,
Matty.
Hey, we got the new man, Kieran. How you doing, Matt? After Hours Media, how we going?
I'm wondering if we'll get less hate tonight since Marty's not on screen.
That's right. For those missing it, we got our first dislike on our YouTube video with Marty on the other day. Apparently, he's riled some dude up on Twitter who decided he was going to go dislike all the videos and comment negative things. So we had a bit of a giggle about that.
No, he's pretty divisive. So I was going to try to do a bit of a 4-4-3 crop, 1-3-3 crop, a bit of artistic. I don't think I've successfully done it there, but that was not intentional.
You got Zack Snyder in here. This is look what we get immediately.
I really wanted to show Ash my Wonder Woman photo, but obviously I had to move, so my setup's destroyed.
Ash has got to go back and watch the last video.
Yeah, but everyone else can catch us out on Saturdays as well. I think we're trying to lock in sort of Saturday, sort of afternoon, evening, if anyone wants to have a couple of kick-ons.
That's right. So essentially the plan from now is 7:30 p.m. Sydney time. On Tuesdays, we'll drop a video on Thursdays, and then every time we can, Saturday live videos as well.
Yeah, got to keep on pumping
content. That's right.
I'm missing you, Tony. I want you back on next time, mate.
That's right. We need you back.
Yeah.
So I guess, let's get into it. We've had a bit of a intro chat there, but what have we got on the cards for the first topic? I mean, I've called this Road to Zack Snyder's Justice League because we are so close now. I'm just feeling like the whole conversation is going to be about where we're at, what's been going on with us.
Let me just say I am a lot more optimistic than I was on Saturday when you guys live streamed. I think I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about the Danny Garcia Insta post? Can we maybe bring that up on screen? You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
I'll have to grab it. Let me see if I
can
find it. You guys chat, and I'll see what I can do to find
what gave you negative vibes on Saturday from our video there, Ash?
It wasn't you guys. No. If anything, you guys the spirits. I was just all the crap I woke up to, man. Just with everything with the
Superman news.
Yeah. If anything, the stream on Saturday probably kept me sane, especially the things that you mentioned. We're gonna get those mango beers going, boys.
Absolutely. I'm actually trying to get this from your page. I remember you sharing it. This Danny Garcia post there, Ash.
Yeah. It can get taken a couple of different ways, like rehash old news. I mean, to be fair, it got announced on the weekend. It's got a bit quiet, but you look at some of the things that Warner Brothers have been doing in the over the past couple of months in relation to, I guess, conflicting with key dates and drops from Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, it's hard to not put a bit of tinfoil on there. Shout out to Chris Wong, but I think we just roll with the punches, and I'm a big believer in old Jim Lee there pushing the multiverse. So I think maybe try to look a little bit more optimistic and not take everything as negative, but time will tell.
Well, this is the post that we were talking about. So that's here. So for those unaware, Danny Garcia is from Danny Garcia Co. She is The Rock's manager and ex-wife, as well as Henry Cavill's manager. All the news about Henry Cavill leaving came up on Saturday, and we were really sort of struggling with it. Particularly here, I know I did a big rant video for about 15 minutes of just straight 15 minutes of straight ranting, but I feel like a lot of us were feeling that directly. But Danny Garcia did post this. I reckon it was this morning, so a couple of days later. But when you know things, you can't. When you know all the things you know but can't share because of NDAs, you filter and just say big things coming. I feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of information in nothingness there.
Well, it's always hard, to assume that is directly DC and Superman related. I mean, people probably forget that she's a manager of people. I think I read that she actually manages Idris Elba. So I could be incorrect there. I don't know if that changes anything. But I sort of go off topic there. I've actually got a sports bet that Idris Elba will be the next James Bond. So, you never really know. That's been standing for about 2 years now, so I'm just waiting.
You're sitting there and you got to feel great when Henry Cavill comes through and takes the role. You're like, come on, do I get a side bet for another Danny Garcia rep?
Yeah. I think both over the past 12 months, it's been Cavill and maybe Tom Hardy as being the favourites. But when the news dropped, I was like, "Fuck, that would have been $64 in the bank there." But let's sort of get off topic there. But I think we've got to be careful with assuming that's always DC related.
I think the timing's fair though. She can't say, "Hey, this is DC related." She can't really say anything, but she wouldn't be going, when you know what you know, but you can't say anything because of NDAs, if it wasn't, something legitimate straight after all this news about the fact that her client is out. Cavill can do both. Yeah, I would love to see Cavill as Bond. If DC, look, end of the day, if DC is stupid enough to let Henry Cavill go after everything, after the support, after all of that, then let him take Bond. Frankly, I was listening to Poindexter Lounge today, and a few of them mentioned there was rumors about the fact that apparently Henry Cavill is fed up with DC because they're not respecting him enough, which is fair, and has actually put in a call to Kevin Feige and said, "What have you got for me?" Now, grain of salt, that's a rumor that I've heard, but there was... all four of the guys in the stream said, yeah, I heard that as well. And I don't blame him. But yeah, give him Marvel, give him Bond. If they're going to be like that, at the end of the day, the dude is fantastic. He's got the amount of support that he has. And I can't see a Rock Black Adam movie not eventually leading towards a Superman Black Adam thing. You look at The Rock, he's one of the biggest people in Hollywood. I kind of think if someone can make it happen, he probably could. Well, apparently The Rock's part of that too. His movie's not even out yet, but this whole stuff with Henry Cavill is pissing him off as well, because obviously they've been trying to get him and Henry, or Black Adam versus Superman, on the screen since 2014. I remember Christmas Day 2014, they were hanging out, and I'm going, that's weird. But obviously knowing that the manager and all that sort of thing, you sort of go, okay, connect the dots there. But so apparently The Rock's sort of fed up with him as well. And those are two people you really don't want going, look, we're sick of your shit. That
Well, that's the thing with The Rock. Like, yeah, he's I've been following The Rock sort of closely since he was a wrestler, being a big WWE fan back in the early or late 90s. And the one thing I sort of get from The Rock, and he's quite out there on social media, he does seem like a pretty good guy, but he does seem like a pretty hard worker.
Absolutely.
And I don't think, and he would be quite business savvy. So I think he wouldn't be silly enough to see all the Justice League DC related Snyder stuff and not go, well, that's good business. Let's look at it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was a big result in sort of Henry coming out and supporting it all. When he was quite quiet about it.
Particularly, with him being quiet, I do sort of attribute that to negotiations. I feel like it's obvious that a lot of this sort of stuff is really thin ice with Warner Brothers. He obviously wants a career at Warner Brothers going forward, but Warner Brothers don't really want anything to do with the Snyder Cut. You can just tell. And if anyone's sort of missed it, and I feel like a lot of people haven't, but I feel like it's very obvious that every single time some sort of positive thing happens for Zack Snyder's Justice League, Warner Brothers is trying to undercut it. You look at the fact that we had the trailer that had been building up for a week. It was trending every single day for a week. And then all of a sudden, the day we get the trailer, Warner Brothers drops Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. Now, that obviously got drowned out because there's no way that they were competing with that hype, but they were trying. You get the international announcement, which obviously affects all of us here in Australia. We were stoked. Zach was stoked because he's been fighting to get this over the line. We get the Sasha Kaye Supergirl announcement. Every single time something positive is happening. Why do you think he's talking about we're getting one more trailer before the film comes out? The film comes out in 15 days. Nobody knows when the trailer's coming out. Because if he mentions it, Warner Brothers is just going to line up something to try and drown it out, just to try and make it a negative, or do whatever they can to try and drown it. And it's just not good. It's just not good enough.
Yeah, I think it's also a double-edged sword for WB. I mean, the fact that they haven't figured out that they're working against themselves, like Godzilla v Kong, that's no slouch of a movie. I mean, well, I missed that question there.
All right, do you want to read it out, John?
Would Ash be willing to bed me at the moment? Do you know who that is?
No idea.
Give me the heebie-jeebies. There you go. And Ash, hit me up on Instagram. You got it.
Oh, you've broken me.
Well, this is the other thing Tom's just mentioned. Obviously, talking about all this Warner Brothers stuff, something positive comes out. Walter Hamada says, "Oh yeah, this whole thing's a cul-de-sac. It's a cul-de-sac." Even you had Kevin Smith saying that. Why would you say that? Why would you try and actively go against something that could make you money? Because it's going to make you look stupid when it does make you money. The same with Toby Emmerich. He's made Hamada. They're all doing the same thing. It's the cul-de-sac statement was fucking stupid.
Cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sac. That's right. They trying to cul-de-sac, and it's not going to happen.
Like I was going to say before, we had a couple of Ash Simps in the chat. It can be a bit of a double-edged sword because that stuff's all public. Like I said, Godzilla v Kong, that's a pretty big blockbuster movie, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I mean, the views, like by putting that out there, all these companies can view the metrics and analytics and stuff on it, and it's probably just giving Team Zack a little bit more power to go, well, look, we're bloody destroying you guys here.
So I guess the other thing to point out too with all of that is it's sort of a bit of a David and Goliath thing. Warner Brothers thinks, we've got Godzilla vs. Kong. That's our Goliath. Let's try and, take on David, which is you got your Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it's just too strong. We're going to drown out anything. There is no way that any Snyder Cut fan is going to let this fail. I against anything. You look at it like IGN's thing today, the best superhero movie of all time, and they didn't put Batman vs Superman even in the options. They had movies like TMNT and RoboCop in there, and it's for a reason, because they know Snyder fans go hard on Twitter and would have made it the #1 film. Simple.
It would have made it a rhetorical question as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
that's a good. Yeah. So that's a good transition into the IGN there.
Yeah. Well, we'll just quickly mention Rahul here. Grace Touchwood did say they're waiting till after Zack Snyder's Justice League for Black Adam casting, so maybe then. Well, that's right. She mentioned Green Lantern HBO Max series, Black Adam, more Flash casting, and other Shazam casting. I feel like what's happened is they have tried on multiple occasions to drown out the news regarding Zack Snyder's Justice League wherever possible. They have probably learnt their lesson. Now, she did mention, why are they doing this? Out of respect. I do not believe that in the slightest. I don't believe it's got anything to do with respect. 100% is just they know that they have tried 5 times now and they've lost every time. So they're just going, oh, well, it actually will benefit us not to bother because it's just not going to work. We've got a couple
someone
of
here that's not a big fan of Grace.
Yeah. Jason Momoa, Frosty the Snowman. Well, that's right. You got all the Ray Fisher stuff. Obviously when Ray Fisher first called out John Berg, Jeff Johns, and Jason Momoa, within 2 or 3 hours, it was announced that Jason Momoa would be in a Frosty the Snowman movie produced by John Berg and Jeff Johns.
2 or 3 hours?
Yeah, it's like essentially they've done that, and then Jason's come out and said, "I think it's fucked up that they would make a fake Frosty announcement," and that's yeah. So you got that there. I just want to point out a couple here. Going well, boys. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition, my favorite comic book film. Seen it so many times. I'm torn between Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition, but I feel you. I'm sort of like I can't decide. Depends on the day. Your thoughts on potential spoilers or bad reviews because of screeners being issued next week? Screeners have actually been issued.
Let's talk about that.
Screeners have been issued. I know for a fact that a few people have received their screeners already. And
I think some people are going in as early as tomorrow to see it, which in my opinion is, I mean, that's 2 weeks out. I don't know, like I might be away for 2 weeks once the screeners start because I don't want to see anything because I've had enough fair share of spoilers in my lifetime, and this is one thing I don't want to be spoiled.
Well, I guess where you've got to think is, like, at the end of the day,
it's still a movie.
Without screeners, the trailers have both leaked. Information leaks consistently. Somebody within Warner Brothers is leaking it. So there are going to be negatives that are, like, I can guarantee The Wrap, the absolute Warner Brothers mouthpiece, will write negative
fuck
reviews.
The Wrap.
Guaranteed. Yeah, exactly. So you've got people like that who are going to definitely write reviews. I think there would be a lot of money involved for a YouTuber who might accidentally leak information. I think they would get sued pretty hard, but at the same time, it could happen. Paul, I'm choosing to be positive about it. So I've thought about it. We're so close. I keep seeing, like, today I saw some really negative stuff about Zack again. Just someone going on about how he's a fascist and how all of his movies are fascist. And someone said, how? And said, oh, because he makes fascist themes. And it's like, explain what that means. Explain how, actually. And she's like, oh, well, immediately blocked. So I keep seeing stuff like that. And I'm going, you know what? It's just not worth it anymore. Shouldn't have received the screeners because they have been responsible for negative reviews in the past. They have been responsible for Snyder Cut doesn't exist. Okay, it exists, but it's going to be shit anyway. Those people, a few of them have got it early. that doesn't sit well with me. But again, at this point, what can we do but wait for 2 weeks? We're so close. Just choosing to remain positive.
What are your thoughts, Ash?
Look, we can't give these haters the time of day. I mean, there's a guy at work, right? The other day, I nearly was ready to go on a whole essay rant to him about Snyder's vision, but I thought it's just not worth my time. The guy's a Marvel tard, man. You can't the haters, like, they're so set in their ways. It doesn't matter what you tell them. And like, I think you talked about it the other day, Clue, about the whole idea of all this crap going on with this Superman reboot. It's like they're trying to appeal to the Marvel tard crowd. Don't do that. What's even the point?
Yeah.
And I think this whole thing with these quote critics getting to see it early. On any other movie, I could really give two craps. I gave up on the Rotten Tomatoes a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think this of all movies isn't. I don't think it's in any way fair that these haters and critics are saying it before the fans, because this is truly, if you want to define the ultimate fan service, this movie is it.
Well, that's right. The only reason it's happening is because of us. So it doesn't sit right with me that people are getting to see it early, unless they are a critic who has been active. And, you know, like I've seen a couple of people, Jake from Cinema Blend, you know, you go back and I've seen his tweets. Someone posted his tweets from the day Batman vs Superman came out. And he said, I hate saying don't listen to critics, but in this case, don't listen to critics. Batman vs Superman is a masterpiece. Like, someone like that, I'm stoked for him. I think that's fantastic. I am absolutely stoked for him, and I'm glad, you know, it sucks that it's not me getting to see it early, but I'm glad that it's going to someone deserving in that instance. There are other people I have seen getting it I'm not happy about, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. And on the other hand, too, like, I get it, there's that sort of portion of the fandom who feel a bit more entitled than others. But, I mean, I looked at it as a business decision. I mean, the main thing about running a business is you want to turn non-customers into customers. So if you've got people who are generally, you know, up against the original sort of tone and vision of the story, but are slowly coming on board, like, that's going to get the message out.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. And, you know, you even look at someone like Sean O'Connell. He even to this day isn't a massive fan. He's coming around to sort of Man of Steel, but you know, he wasn't a big fan to begin with. But he did a deep dive. He revisited, and he's coming around, and that's awesome.
And I think that the thing that sucks there is the people who see that and then they look back and then they go, well, this guy hasn't been supporting, and it's like, well, yes, he didn't initially, but he's come around, and we want those people to come around, because the people like that who do come around and change, like I've said this before at people who are having a go, you have a go at the bloggers who hate Zack and hate his movies. You say, no, you're wrong. When one of them says, you know what, I've revisited, yes, you're right, I'm wrong, they're actually fantastic. They go, well, you haven't been supporting this entire time. And it just, that's such a stupid mindset in my opinion, because I think it's like, no, you want, the whole aim is to convert these people to, like, have them go, actually, I've looked at this and I was wrong. So when they're wrong, why berate them for not liking
exactly. You want to cast net and you want to widen your audience. So, and we forget that, you know, the people who are so against it and so for it, we still are a minority. I mean, there's the general audience. I mean, of that one person you had a sort of mild argument with Ash at work, there's probably 90% of the organization don't even know what the fuck you guys are talking about.
That's
so
exactly right.
It's just about that.
This is another one here, guys, from Tom on YouTube. Will they be doing press junkets with the entire Zack Snyder's Justice League cast? I can only speak to huge guess on my part. I would say probably not, but we may see some sort of Zoom conference here or there. I think mostly it'll be Zack. What about you guys? What do you think?
You go first, Ash.
I was going to say, yeah, look, unfortunately, probably not. I mean, I know old mate Ray Fisher, he wants to promote the shit out of this film. Good on him. Yeah, I guess Zoom would make the most sense. My personal hopes, if not for this, assuming the inevitable Justice League 2, we get old mate Ray Porter having some quality banter with the rest of the league. I feel like that would be hilarious. Just having some of the cast. I mean, I assume they'll probably do that. If not for this, given the circumstances, given it is streaming and given it's very much a fan-driven movie, I would put money personally probably on Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 for a full, press tour, if you will.
I would have to agree. There is a couple of quick comments here that I would like to mention. One is, honestly, if I'd have to pick, I'd rather have a spoiler than one of those temper your expectations reactions. I sort of agree.
Oh, really?
I'd rather see something going, hey, this was awesome, rather than people saying, hey, it's really not worth your time. Just, if you're excited, don't bother. Like, at the end of the day, if it's spoiled in a way that's like, hey, this is fantastic, get excited. Yeah, it sucks that it's spoiled, but if that was to convert a bunch of people to go, oh, okay, this happens, and I didn't know that was going to happen, well, that helps us. That helps us in the end. The other thing that I wanted to quickly just mention here, and we're getting a lot of comments tonight. I appreciate everybody who is dropping comments. We're moving through them pretty quickly, but Tom here, I'm super pumped for Zack Snyder's Justice League, but you have to admit a fully finished cut of the movie never existed, hence $70 million being spent on finishing visual effects. I've got thoughts on this, but boys, where are you at?
John, you go first, man.
I thought that was just public knowledge now. Like, we know that Zack had his assembly cut, and he even said he had the fact that VFX teams were working on it for about 6 months. Like, you don't do that for the additional 5 minutes of additional photography. So, yeah, 100%. If all that 70 million went into the VFX, I'm not too sure whether there was like some marketing and, obviously paying the additional cast to come back for their additional photography. I think Zack came out and said he wasn't taking any money personally. But I always thought that it still needed a bit of tweaking.
Oh, for sure. I 100% agree with you, John. Like, it's one of those things. I remember back to the classic, Momoa video when he was on an interview with this guy and how he was talking. He was one of the founders that were pushing for the Snyder Cut, and I remember he made some sassy comment. I think the reporters like to him, "Oh, what does that mean that the Snyder Cut, like the effects aren't done?" And then Momoa was like, "Well, what? You think Zack couldn't finish a film?" And I feel like it's one of those things, because one thing I will say, I don't know if you guys or people watching have noticed this, but a lot of the haters, you're like, your John Campiers and that comic cast 2, whatever his name is, could care less. A lot of them have run with the narrative, oh yeah, the Snyder Cut doesn't exist. And then what a lot of them did after the Snyder Cut was announced was, oh yeah, look, a completely finished Snyder Cut never ever existed. So they're already contradicting themselves. It's like they're running with the narrative, oh, the Snyder Cut never existed. Oh yeah, but look, these fans, like, yeah, the cut wasn't completed. But the fact is, Zack had, a somewhat, fairly. He
done, had a releasable cut, and I feel like this is. And Tom, I'll address a couple of you're dropping a few comments. I'm going to address a couple of them quickly here, but just on this one, the reason I say that I don't believe some critics should get to see it before the fans is because the fans copped shit from a lot of critics for a long time for even believing that there was anything. They're saying he never finished his cut. He never finished shooting his stuff. When we could see 6 months before he left, he'd finished. Did he need to do some visual effects? Yes. But he had a releasable cut. It wasn't 100% ready to go, like plug it in and load. But we could have seen a cut. The cut always existed. And that's just what it is. It's a cut. And I think that's the thing. You've got the 214 cut. You've got an assembly cut. Something, the Snyder Cut, whatever you want to call it, existed. But there was multiple of them. The one we're getting is much more than what I expected us to get. That's all I'm going to say. Like, because he fought for it. He said, well, no, if you want to release this to get the internet off your back, then I'm going to complete this properly so it is 100%. But I personally always fought for the Snyder Cut, thinking that it wasn't 100% visual effects, everything. There was always discussion. Some visual effects probably needed to be done.
We can go down the rabbit hole here, but personally, I'm not passionate enough to really care that some critics are seeing it beforehand. I mean, it's part of the system. I get this movie in 2 weeks. 2-3 weeks. I'm stoked. In terms of was it finished? Well, Zach even in the interview with was it Vanity Fair or Variety where he said that WB approached him and said, "Can you just release it as it was?" And he said no because A, B, and C. So yeah, we're getting it. How good?
That's right. Just to address this as well, a couple of quick things. One's for you here, Ash. But this Tom's saying, are you saying that only people who are fans of Snyder should watch it early? If so, that's dumb. It's their job to critique movies, whether you like their opinion or not, and they should see it early. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the people who have actively attacked Snyder in the past, actively attacked his fans, I don't believe personally that them, particularly when they didn't want the cut to happen or didn't want the movie to come out, should get to see the film before the people who pushed for it so hard that the studio decided to allow it. That's just personal. If you want to believe critics can do and say whatever they want and be negative to whoever and then go, like, for example, if I go to an ice cream shop and I go in and try all the ice cream and I say, every single one of these flavors is shit, and they're bringing out a new flavor and people who are in there love it all, are they going to approach me and say, well, you've actively and loudly on your YouTube channel said our ice cream was bad, so why don't you get to try it early? Love it all. They're going to approach me and say, and then here's another one just quickly. Don't call them Marvel tards. Divides the fandom more. Personally, I'm a Marvel fan. I like Marvel. I like DC more. I like Marvel. I can't say anything about, derogatory terms because I've been called a cultist and a fucking Snyder bot and all that bullshit. So I don't care enough.
I should respond. Tom, sorry, man. It's just taken the wrong way. No, what I mean by Marvel touch is just the utter, pure, all Marvel, diss everything that's not Marvel. That's what I mean. I'm a massive Marvel fan. Before Superman and Batman, there was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Trust me, I'm a massive fan. So I meant no disrespect to Marvel fans. I'm talking about like those constant, just hate anything that isn't Marvel. So yeah.
Ooh. Look, Tom's going to say, I see where you're coming from. I respectfully disagree. And that's, totally fine. Totally fine. As somebody who's been pushing for this for a long time, it sort of irks me that these people get to see it before I do because they didn't want to see it. So, but again, totally fine. We're going to just move on to this fantastic comment. John is hot AF.
Thanks, John.
Can John take his shirt off? I mean, he's
I can't.
This is another one I would have to agree with. I'm really pumped to hear Ray's take on Darkseid's voice.
Well, not just that. I'm really looking forward to just that, Shakespearean type Terrio dialogue that, that he just pumps out. Like, it's gonna make me feel things.
Yeah,
100%. Absolutely. And the fact that we haven't actually heard the voice yet, it just gets even more hyped. And Desaad as well. We haven't heard Desaad's voice. That interests me.
We have heard Desaad's voice. He was the one saying no Kryptonians, no lanterns in the trailer. It's confirmed that was Desaad.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, boys, obviously Sunday we all got up nice and early to watch a nice 45-minute interview with Zack on IGN. How early did we get up?
Well, I sent Terry a tweet to say, is this going to be replayed? And she said yes. So I'm like, I'll probably sleep in and watch it. And it was available. As soon as it was finished, it was available. So, yeah. So you can call me a part-timer.
Yeah, you're such a casual fanboy. Look, for me, I was planning on getting up at 5 because my body clock is set to get up at 5 anyway. So I figured, I'm just going to wake up, walk out into the lounge room and all good. But, I guess I hit the snooze on my body clock and it was 5 to 6 by the time I woke up. So, yeah, I ended up just jumping on late and not too late, but yeah, just lying on there, having a coffee and enjoying the interview. What about you, Ash? How was your experience?
Very, very good. I think I saw it about 7. Had a chance to have a good listen of it. I probably watched it about a good 10 to 15 times over the last few years.
How much time do you have, man?
What happens when you work in sales and things are slow, boys? There's only so much.
True that.
No, that's fair. So I guess, look, a lot of information came out of it. A lot of fan questions. Personally, I thought Terry did a really good job. And I know she's somebody who hasn't been the kindest about Snyder in the past. I've seen things pop up. I don't care. I think she did a great job on the interview and was really stoked that you could see she was really enthusiastic. She asked some fantastic questions on her own. And then I think she had all the right fan questions there. Did any stand out to you guys as something that was something you were really enthused about?
Well, I mean, I got notes stemming from the whole sort of thing. I was just going to run through things that as he was. But, I think we know that the movie that's being released, he's sort of come out a couple of times say was basically the same thing that he originally filmed back in 2015-16. So as originally intended. Now, sort of linking back to Junkie XL on Film Junkie stream, how he was saying his score's about 4 hours, 20 minutes. So if there's a 10-minute intermission, 5 minutes of credits maybe. So you probably think the final run time's around that 4 hours and 5 minutes type thing.
Well, I think they were saying
a little bit over 4.
I reckon it's going to be probably 4:20 by the time you add the credits and intermission. Because I think they were saying the runtime without everything is like 4 hours, 1 minute and 28 seconds.
Yeah.
And just quickly, for anyone who hasn't seen the Junkie XL on Film Junkie stream, brilliant. Like that guy just seems like one of the coolest dudes. Just fucking having his ciggy, drinking a beer, dropping music clips. Just seemed like a really down to earth guy. And I think this has probably been a good outcome. Like, you think when it comes to movies, it's the actors and probably the director that gets all of the recognition. This has brought out your Fabian Wagners, your Junkie XLs, and they're getting a little bit more airtime because they put in a lot of work and just as much effort to filming. So I'm hoping not only does this movie bring some more DOPs and the musicians to the forefront, I'm hoping that maybe they get a bit more airtime moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been really cool to see those guys coming out, and I feel like it's almost started this fan base of people who are not only going to watch Zack's films, but now go on and watch films because Junkie XL did the music, because Fabian Wagner was the director of photography. Like, I feel like it's going to hit that point where us as a fandom are now publicly and personally supporting externally the actors and directors and franchises, these people who work. And I think that's fantastic. It's more recognition.
Do you guys think they sort of moved on to say, well, when Terry asked Zack, at Fandom, you originally wanted it sort of released in 4 parts, but then he sort of dropped sort of the chapter names, the first one being Don't Count on It, Batman, the second one being The Age of Heroes. Do you reckon he was serious or taking the piss? Because Don't Count on It, Batman sounds a little bit jokey, but that would be hilarious as well.
I feel like that's going to be an Alfred line. Like, doesn't that sound like Jeremy Irons, Alfred, something that he would say?
I just don't know if Alfred would call him Batman. Oh, but like he probably could if it was in that sort of jokey type.
Yeah, and it's like Alfred's humor, like that's where I hear it. Like maybe him mumbling under his breath, "Don't count," and something like that. Either that or saying it to himself.
Because reading into that title, you assume that maybe the first chapter is, Batman trying to, bring the League together, and there's obviously a little bit of resistance. And the second chapter is the Age of Heroes when they sort of come around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I'm really excited for that. I'm hoping, because I know that on HBO Max they're going to have like little chapter markers on the runtime thing down the bottom. I think that's fantastic. I really hope we get that here on Binge as well. I don't know that we will.
And 4K.
But yeah, well, that's it. That's the other thing. Just
He
to point out
did.
here, Zach, I contacted both Roadshow and iTunes, and they haven't heard anything about a digital purchase release. So it might just be streaming via Binge in Australia to start with, at least. Look, that was a comment from Zach on YouTube. I reckon that's going to be the case as well. Look, it's 1080. 1080 is still good. It's still great, in fact. I would personally love 4K, but I know that I'm going to buy the box set with the 4K anyway. So, and this is going to get multiple viewings from me. So at the end of the day, I'm going to see it in 4K. I'm probably going to rent out a private cinema to watch it at some point. So, I'm going to get to see it the way that Zach intended.
Yeah. Well, speaking of theatrical, for anyone in Brisbane, I know there's a group that are trying to organise a charity screening there. So follow Snyder Cut Australia on Facebook for more information there. But he sort of spoke about the theatrical release, and he's sort of still not too sure where that's at. But the black and white version is going to be dropped on HBO Max as well, which will be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just on that, so we're trying to organise in Brisbane charity screening. I'm trying to get something organised in Melbourne. I'm in discussions with a couple of places. The thing that is really the point at the moment is the 4K. I don't know how 1080 is going to go on a cinema screen. So, yeah, I don't know where we're at with that. But I'm doing my best. We'll try and organise something. Yeah. If so, the tickets will be probably inflated slightly so that we can donate to Suicide Prevention Australia, which we want to do something a little closer to home. Yeah. So we're going to try and organise that. Hey,
essentially,
you're on YouTube. Don't forget, in the comments, you can donate to the Autumn Snyder Fund. So go do that. Make sure you jump in and do that. And just again,
so obviously, anything on theatricals or charity screenings, if anyone wondering, that the main thing would just be what the sort of legalities are between, screening a exclusively streamed property. So, we'll update everyone as that comes to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach's just asking, do we know if the 10-minute intermission will be included in the HBO Max release, or would it be added for a potential theatrical release? We don't know. I would hope so. For one, I want to hear Junkie XL's score, but the other thing is, I feel like just in terms of general audience, if we know that there's an intermission at 2 hours that is designed that way, I think that's going to help the 4 hours is too long for a movie viewers.
Well, Zach did say exclusively that you can hit pause to have a break or hit the potty.
Absolutely. And look, as much as I feel that that's totally fine, having a dedicated point of closure, I also think, like, just for me, I'm always like, if I'm going to pause this, I'm going to wait till the end of the scene. So
yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't have the intermission in it. I mean, people, if they want to fast forward, they can. If they want to stop, it seems sort of more work to have it removed than it would be to have it in. I liked the question that Harry Lennox pulled up about was General Swanwick always Martian Manhunter, or was he just impersonating him?
That was great because obviously Terry said in the interview, look, we've got a question from a big Zack Snyder fan here, Harry L, and then brings up Harry Lennox, who obviously played Calvin Swanwick in Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, and will be continuing in Zack Snyder's Justice League, revealing to be Martian Manhunter. I thought that was a lot of fun. How do you guys feel? Do you think it was a tack on?
Well, firstly on General Sonic, one of my favorite lines from him of all time is at the end of Man of Steel, how Clark destroys the satellite. He's just like, "Are you effing stupid?" Now, I can't find that GIF anywhere. So if anyone is good at making GIFs, if you could make that into a GIF, I'd really appreciate it. But what were you asking there, Clue?
We might have to get a tag. Just get that to just chuck on the show every time we've got a relevant place to throw it in. I think that's definitely doable. Oh man.
Yeah. What was your question though, man?
Oh, I don't even know at this point. I think I was saying. How did you guys feel about the fact that Zack's essentially said, he's been Martian Manhunter the whole time, and that's his alias. Do you guys feel like it's something that Zack always had in mind, or do you think he's added it on because it sort of just fits?
Yeah, I've got quite a few thoughts on it. So all the way back in Man of Steel, that classic interrogation scene, the fact that he didn't flinch when he got up, and the fact that he could clearly see him through the glass, always got me thinking. Now the other scene when he outright says they're turning during the terraforming, he says in the room they're turning Earth into Krypton. No one had ever said Krypton to him. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on there?
Yeah, where did he get that info?
And I remember the Martian Manhunter theory. I don't know the earliest memory you guys have of that rumor. I'm pretty sure it was a rumor that would have probably come up around the BVS time. Because I remember that rumor's been floating for, I reckon, a good maybe 4 or 5 years of him being Martian. And just the fact, when the storyboard dropped of the whole him turning into Martha, him being Martha and him turning into Martian, I was like, oh my gosh, it was Martian the whole freaking time.
Yeah, but can you imagine this year, little things like that imagine if no one knew about it, you sat down in the movies to watch it, and that happened, and it just would have been that Leonardo DiCaprio. It's just we were fucking right. So, but hey, I'm sure there's going to be more surprises. But yeah, I know I thought Zack came out and said, it didn't initially, it was initially planned back in Man of Steel, and it sort of got bred through the later stage of BBS, or I don't know, I could be wrong there, but it's cool, and it's another character. There's just going to be people complaining that, well, why didn't he help during the Doomsday fight and everything? It's like, well, I mean, everything was on fire as well, and he's scared of fire, so could also explain.
Yeah.
And you don't know how old he is. He could be he could be quite old and, quite useless. You never really know, so...
Well, I will say Martian Manhunter is definitely one aspect that I'm really excited to see. A couple of things, other points from the IGN stuff. One question I thought was fantastic, and I thought was very, very telling in the response was, do you think we're going to get any female League members added? And Zack saying something like,
that would be a spoiler.
That would be a spoiler. He didn't say, he could have said, look, I didn't get to film it. But that would be a spoiler. And I thought that was fantastic. Obviously, there's been discussions and rumors of Black Canary. One sort of thought that I had that I'm just trying to work out in my head the other day was obviously we've seen that the pod is mentioned, that the open pod that in the Man of Steel prequel comic we know to be Supergirl. That was mentioned as they are going to reference it. Now, that was 18,000 years prior to Man of Steel that landed. My thoughts, when did the history lesson happen? When Darkseid attacked the first time? Is it possible that he took Supergirl as a slave at that point, similar to how he did in the comics, which then cuts across... to that 18,000 year time difference, it's sort of, you can explain away that time moves differently there or whatever it is in Apocalypse. And that explains how Supergirl, 18,000 years old, essentially, would appear now if she was taken as a prisoner from Earth fighting against them in the history lesson.
Yeah.
It also
and that becomes
Yeah, just the whole, no protectors here, no lanterns, no Kryptonian.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, just adding to that clue, like, are we really going to find out how exactly, Krypton is known to Darkseid or the Apocalyptians? And it seems what you just said, that actually, to be honest, I actually really hadn't thought of it much before prior to mentioning that, but I actually think would be a pretty cool way for them to do the whole time of the universe, like the whole 18,000, heaps, so many years ago. Yeah.
Well, what's the theory that I'm having a mental blank? What's Darkseid's daughter's name? The theory that
Grail.
that Supergirl, was kidnapped and becomes Grail type thing. I like that theory, and I'd be happy with it. I think if you rewatch the interview when that question got asked, he said that will we find out about what it was? We might not ever, which is getting me thinking that they probably don't actually address it. I think he obviously says that they look at it and they might not talk about it, but they recognize that it's there.
Yeah.
But as he finishes saying his answer, he says we might not find that out ever, meaning that if he's not confident of subsequent sequels, is that maybe that story was to be explored.
Well, somebody else
at the back
pointed
end
out
of the arc.
Someone else pointed that during the Man of Steel watch party, he brought that up and he said something. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it was like, "Oh yeah, we haven't found out about that yet. Stay tuned." And I thought that was interesting, knowing that at that point we didn't know the Snyder Cut was coming. I mean, we found out like an hour later, but at that point. I just want to point out this comment here. Supergirl equals 18K-year-old granny goodness. That made me laugh.
Age as well.
Possibly.
Well, I'll throw a random, might not happen, but maybe a Big Barda type appearance. Who knows? That would be left wing. I don't see it happening, but hey, we don't know.
I mean, I feel at this point I'm really, really starting to think that Black Canary is way more possible. It's really, really starting to get there for me, where it's like, well, Zach and Jared randomly followed her on Twitter the other day. All this, I don't know.
As in Journey Smollett showing up. Yeah. Well, I mean, one of my favorite moments in Birds of Prey was when she comes out and actually does a canary cry. I'm like, finally.
She was one of the highlights for me. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's like, come on, you've gone this entire movie, she does one canary cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. She was a highlight for me. I thought she was really cool.
Yeah. And the movie,
I would love that. But apparently, there was rumors years ago that, before Justice League, when Birds of Prey was announced, that Black Canary was going to be in Justice League to cross over and introduce Birds of Prey, and that was ultimately cut. So I find it interesting that those rumors were around, 2017, early 2017. So I don't know. That was early stages, but.
Well, I guess Zach did say that at the end of the movie is not going to be a cliffhanger. It's all going to be wrapped up and it's all going to be done, right? So there's no cliffhanger, or was I wrong there? Or
yeah, about that. There's kind of a massive cliffhanger.
So I guess we can look forward to advocating for more Snyderverse.
Well, I guess it goes back to what Zach was saying in that article. You're doing this to get the internet off your back. And all I can say is, congratulations, Warner Brothers. You played yourself. Because now, unless you finish the entire arc, because my at this point, I'm like, give me Justice League 2, give me Justice League 3, finish that arc, and then I'll support whatever. because you've concluded the arc, and now I've got nothing that is like loose ends that I wanted to see.
And that's perfect. Yeah, that's a perfect segue into my personal favorite question. I don't know if you want to wrap it up in a few minutes, boys, but the whole, if HBO Max gave you money to do Justice League 2, would you? And I found it very interesting because, as we've no doubt seen, a few months ago, Zack didn't seem very optimistic about being asked about continuing. He just, you know, outright said, look, you know, don't know, didn't think I'd be here, really can't say. He clearly, you know, you wouldn't say he was that optimistic. Yet in that interview, he didn't outright said yes, but did you notice how he seemed a lot more optimistic when asked the question?
Yeah, I believe that when I see it.
I mean, it's the obvious. I mean, I think, John, you actually tweeted about it, that classic, you know, rock, you know.
The other guys, no comment, but yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I want to pose this question to you guys and people watching. At this point, right, would you guys rather Zack continue to, quote, hopefully have his arc finished through Warner Brothers and risk compromise, so have us getting screwed over even more, but potentially get some theatrical movie releases on the big screen, right? So a chance for it to perhaps make more money theatrically. Or would you guys rather, much like Zack Snyder's Justice League, be continued his Snyderverse, the Affleck miniseries, and whatever else he wants to do on HBO Max, where they'll just throw money at him and he's completely uncompromised. We may not get it so much in movies, but at least just knowing that we're getting his complete uncompromised vision. He can do whatever the fuck he wants to do.
Well,
that's a rhetorical question for me.
Yeah, there's no. That's not. Yeah, I don't care. Like, as much as I know how he films, and I'd love to see it in theaters again, I'll hire a theater.
Exactly.
Give it to me on HBO Max. Give it to me the way he wants it. That's all I care. You know, I just want to see more. So,
well, like I was saying, I honestly think that the demand's going to be there, and I think if HBO Max or WB Cave or whatever happens in the business side of whatever the fuck is going on really there, if they can give Zack the artistic freedom to continue, if he wants to do it, it'll happen, because I wholeheartedly believe that even if actors aren't available and they need to move schedules, I think he can make it happen. But you know, if you know he can't do what he needs to do, he's said he's more than happy to step away. So I think it's up to people like us and all the fans to just, you know, watch the movie, you know, keep on telling friends about it who don't know about it, encourage them to get on board, and just really pump it up.
Well, he said that too, hasn't he? That was another question posed on Vera the other day. Zack, are you got to stay around? We need more DC from you. And his response was, "It's not up to me, or not my decision." And I think what he was saying in that, and I'm just again reading between the lines here, he wasn't saying it's not my decision, it's Warner Brothers and they don't want to do it. I think what he was saying was, it's not my decision, it's your decision. You guys have to show us what it is that you want from us. And I think Ray has said it. I think Zack has said it. The fans decide what is canon. And what's important is that we are the ones who are actively and loudly promoting the movie, talking about the movie. And that's exactly it. Look, perfect example. That's why we started this channel. Do what you can to get it out there. If this is a success, which I wholeheartedly believe it will be, the decision's made. We made the decision for them.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. Like, it's easy enough to get into really, you know, bad arguments with people. They're either trolling or you're never going to convince them. So if instead of getting into an online argument, just step back, engage with people who you know that you're going to have a good time with. But yeah, just keep on being optimistic. Like I said, I've got complete faith in Jim Lee with what they're trying to do with the multiverse. So I don't care that you know, you've got Superman and Lois going on over here. Percy, there's a great photo that got dropped today of him standing over the bad guy, who I'm not too sure if I don't want to go into spoilers, but it looked awesome, and I'm all for it. More Superman content, so it doesn't have to be one or the other. We've kind of established that, so let's just try to all sort of work together and hopefully continue and wrap up the arc that we all want.
That's right. So
100%.
boys, we'll wrap it up. Do you have any final comments before we end here?
Yeah, I saw. I think Paul mentioned something earlier in the comments. About Martian Manhunter. Yeah, Zach was Martian Manhunter was pushing sort of Lois and Clark to be better and try to get humanity to do it for themselves. And I really like that. Schumacher cut. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, look, just kind of adding to your point, John. I kind of when we started the stream, I was talking about how I'm a lot more optimistic this week. One of the things that had me so gutted was when that old JJ, Abrams Superman reboot. I just felt as a Superman fan, especially a Clark Kent fan, so disrespected. And I just remember thinking, like, man, these characters that we've grown up with and love, they deserve better than the treatment that Warner was giving them. I have no problem whatsoever with them doing the multiverse, with us getting a black Superman, be it Val-El or whoever it is. That's not my concern. The timing of the article that was dropped was absolutely shit. And, it's just one of those things. There's nothing wrong with the multiverse, but for goodness sake, don't disrespect what started universe in Man of Steel and BVS.
Yeah.
These are the movies that started these movies for you, Warner Brothers. So don't be pricks and disrespect it. Embrace the future, but don't disrespect the past.
Yeah, and I think maybe what's being murked here is let's say that Superman stuff came out after the movie, after Justice League was released. J.J. Abrams came out and supported, because we know that he hasn't actually commented on it. They've just announced the writer and said, we are excited to do this. It's multiverse standalone, confirming it's Val-Zod. There's a little bit more information there. So I think, Warner Brothers, whatever their strategy is internally, it's turned into a bit of a dog's breakfast. But they're fighting a bit of a losing battle there, and I think they really need to determine what they want to do, because on one side you've got all this objectively correct data of in terms of number of views for trailers, discussion online. You've got all of this happening, and on this other side, they might throw out some really good stuff, but of all the sort of movies in production, I'm not that excited for, because they're not. In pre-production or just in development stage, nothing's really singing out. I mean, if there was an Ava DuVernay New Gods trailer that dropped tomorrow, I'd probably be pretty excited. But they're so far down the road at the moment, we can't be excited about it. Whereas we've got something right in front of us right now. So
that's right, and they don't want to support, but we can definitely talk more on that on the next live stream. Before we wrap it up, don't forget to follow at Kent Farm Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at IsThatClue, Ash at Ashman21, and John at Casual_fanboy. We do have a video series, the first episode dropping on Thursday, that I've done, called The Road to Zack Snyder's Justice League, Man of Steel. I've sat down and rewatched Man of Steel, interviewed a friend of mine who has never seen it and doesn't really like superhero movies, and another friend of mine who has only seen it once, just before Batman vs Superman come out. So that's gonna be an interesting one. We're gonna have a discussion after they've seen it, obviously at a very different point to how I've seen it, and I'm really excited to see how they feel about it. So make sure to check in on that on Thursday.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds awesome. A lot of stuff coming up. And guys, I make no apologies for my shit takes and memes on Twitter. So if you follow me at your own risk, I guess.
And that's going to be it. Thank you all for joining, and tune in next time at the Kent Farm Podcast. Thank you very much, boys.
Thanks, lads. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Take care.
I've been ready from the jump. Tell me anything, but never tell me that I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm on. You can bet I've been above. You can never see me like I'm John. Seen it with a song. Yeah, we kicking in the whip, boy, then vroom, vroom. Invisible of Bitcoin, but all around we taking over the world. I'm making home with girl, head to tail like a flip coin. You can take it how you want. I've been up having fun. Yeah, baby, this ain't a disjoint. I ain't famous, I'm a boss. I've been up stacking sauce. Do you share the hit, boy?